actually wants to stack up the jungle at all. He's already stacked it up, or I guess twice you can say, with one pull. So yeah, there is going to be acceleration in the future for Nando. Templar Assassin in the meantime doesn't look like she's going to get much of that. She's going to have to get into a fist fight. Toss back for a couple more right clicks. The IO DPS is real, although Dessert dropping super low is going to bottle up and try to race Nando, but here comes the IO with the bottle. Yeah, you can't really afford to race a Tiny like that as Templar Assassin. It's just not going to work. As high damage as she is, Tiny just has a little bit more. So this mid lane should be a little bit more difficult for Dessert as this lane progresses, although we do have a charge in towards Cinco. That is not going to lead into a kill, but it is going to lead into a regeneration for the TA, which is almost just as good. Taking a quick look at the other lanes now, Primo is taking a lot of fire on this bottom lane, and there's not much that Tusk can do about it. This is pretty much what you would expect from a Huskar versus melee lane.
Yeah, but he's not being absolutely denied of all EXP. He is getting in EXP range, so this is pretty good for the Tusk. He doesn't really need the farm, it's just the levels. Once he gets that level 6, then at least he's going to be able to provide something for the team. Whereas, unfortunately, Spirit Breaker, he has to move a little bit closer in the lane just to get the EXP, and obviously if you're going in deep into enemy territory, there's a high chance you could get caught in
Toss them back into the tower.
Whoa.
Refraction gonna dry up. We'll be fine though with the regen rune is gonna get right back up to full. You gotta watch out for those types of plays. Unfortunately for Nando, he had like 239 mana or something stupid like that, so he wasn't able to quite get the Avatos combo, so he had to, you know, kind of go into a backup plan there. But still, this Templar Assassin has got to be really careful. His last hitting right now, but that's not going to be the case forever. Up towards top, Spirit Breaker Dazzle can't do much, if anything at all, versus a Wind Ranger. It's got to be the Witch Doctor who has to be a little bit more careful in this lane.
Yeah, he could be the one to go for a setup though. If Action's not careful with the Spirit Breaker and Dazzle, they could get perma-stunned. But looks like they're going to go for Little Jesus and the Shackle. Unfortunately, Jesus is going to have to go to heaven here. And unfortunately, Spirit Breaker couldn't really do too much about that. So, unfortunately, I think he jinxed Action there, saying the Witch Doctor was supposed to be careful. I'm pretty sure Jesus needs to be.
Jesus will be back. He always is back. That's how he rolls. Nando looking for another toss back onto Dessert. Taking a couple tower shots, though. Oh, a little bit greedy as this Tiny. Even if you do get the toss back, then Templar Assassin is going to want to go through the Tiny to get back to her tower, so it probably doesn't lead to good things. Although Primo is here now, and Dessert's going to get into a fight. Nando looking for a toss. Here comes the bottle, and the toss avalanche snowball. It's going to connect. That's Templar Assassin dead on the floor. Nando barely getting out of there with stick charges, of all things. Versus Templar Assassin, usually don't fill that up super quickly, but it's going to be relevant this time. An execration off to a 2-0 lead. That's the value of Tusk in an offlane. It's the value of Earthshaker in the offlane. If you have a really bad time, as Primo is having, you just gank someone else, and in this case, Templar Assassin's a pretty high priority target.
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure Desert was going to commit into that fully anyway because he was so close to getting Nando. So, bit of a disadvantage there for Dessert, and it looks like we're going to have Primo here contesting with 1-2-3 on the Disruptor for some farm. He will be harassed, but it's a tanky-ass Tusk. And unfortunately, Disruptor's one of those supports who doesn't really do too much damage by himself. He provides a lot of utility, but when it comes to harassment, he's just not the kind of hero for that. You'd rather put points into Glimpse first, and at least 1 point into Kinetic Field. Then you can consider going for Thunderstrike. But I feel like this game, he might want to put more points into Kinetic Field, because controlling the Tiny Wisp is huge. Tiny will never go for a blink if he has a Wisp. Like, he can in the mid lane, but oh, nice glimpse back, but Snowball's going to be there. And did he send...
No, Snowball blocks it, because that makes sense. Glimpse is just really freaking weird. Snowball
and if he yules,
trumps it.
Then if you yules, he still gets sent back.
Which makes no sense.
Really exactly.
Oh, Nando. He's going to get charged. He's not that healthy. He's trying to bait Dessert in. He just wants to get up the hill. That's not gonna happen. Avalanche will not stun the Spirit Breaker. Now Charge will connect and he will die. You know, sitting at like less than 100 HP as any hero versus a Spirit Breaker is usually not recommended, and well, that's pretty much why Action Arena get a kill delivered into their hands.
Yeah, so at least they get a kill going their way. They haven't really been able to go for any sort of aggressive plays. They've been very defensive so far. The TA can't really play too aggressive against a Tiny Wisp combo. You have a Spirit Breaker sitting with a Dazzle in the top lane. And down bottom, Huskar's free farming. Honestly, you're never going to really see a carry rotate, so don't really look to him to do anything. Whereas the Disruptor's still continuously going for pulls. No TP scroll on any of these supports, it seems, so if anything happens, Action's going to have to make sure that, or hope that these heroes are self-sufficient.
For the Huskar, he really wants to farm the lane at minimum until he gets the the armlet, and then he can rotate out, usually after having taken the tier 1 tower in the lane that he's in. So expect that to be the gameplay style for this Huskar, and pretty much nothing is going to change. No rotations from Execration will force him out of the lane, I don't think, unless Io is somehow level 6 at this point. He's not. Little Jesus is going to run into Tusk and the Io, although they're setting up for Dessert. They need the Tiny to get close enough. Dessert is going to lay down a silent trap. 1, 2, 3 is going to cut them off. They're going to both put into the snowball. Now they're going to try to make a break for it. Shard's not really going to help out, although Cinco does have a tether out, plus has an Invis rune, actually. Is charged, however. Here comes the cast onto Little Jesus. Toss up onto that Dazzle. That'll kill him off. And now Cinco is going to try to regen a little bit, although he is definitely going to fall here. He's putting a lot of damage into Raging Potato in the meantime, although they can't quite get the kill. Toss up is going to actually interrupt the life break from Ben. Dessert's still chasing after Awit, though. It looks like this Witch Doctor is eventually going to fall. Nando now going to get charged, although Raging Toady will cancel that. Is this Raging Potato? I feel like that was a player that was on a team for real, but I don't know what happened to that team. Nando almost going to get trapped by that kinetic field, but will slip away. Ultimately, it is a 2-for-1 in favor of Action Arenas. They shouldn't be able to catch up to this Tiny.
Yeah, I actually remember this name, Raging Potato. I think he played a Slaughter. I forgot what team he played. I don't know if it was a stand-in or if he was a main player for it, but he did play for a team. Just trying to remember what game I casted previously with him.
I want to say it was like, oh, Nando.
Oh, on mid lane. Oh, very, very close. But it looks like they do want to try and commit for this. Little Jesus is there, toss over into the tower, and it looks like this is going to be the grave onto Dessert. He's not going to drop, neither is Nando though, but the urn should be enough. No refraction charges, snowball, and a coconut. That's going to be the end of the Dessert.
Oh,
And
double
Dessert,
bash onto
coconut
Nando.
beauty.
Not gonna do enough. He gets earned up and then
No.
gets the avalanche toss up. Spirit Breaker so lucky, yet also so unfortunate. Little Jesus now taking tower shots. He's gonna get beaten down. It's a 3-kill for Execration. Oh man, he got charge bash into regular bash and it just wasn't enough damage.
That is very unfortunate. That's pretty much a wisp. If there's a wisp, there's going to be so much damage mitigation because of the heals that you are going to be completely bothered by this. And in the top lane, poor 1, 2, 3 just wanted EXP, but shot to hell by the Wind Ranger. There is a charge onto Cirque, and TPs are coming through now. Ben, he's got the life break, but Wind Ranger's a little bit too quick for him at the moment. But oh wow, the range for that's huge. Windrun's going to be there. Charge coming through. There it does connect onto Cirque, and this is going to be the end of the Wind Ranger, unfortunately. Finish up with a bash as well. The Bash Lord here on this Spirit Breaker.
Apparently, yeah, it's Jay from Mineski. And I thought it was either Myth or Mineski. My C knowledge is a little bit rusty. Desert is going to chase down Primo, get that free kill. But I don't know. Maybe chat's lying. Chat probably is lying, but
I think
whatever.
I did remember seeing a Mineski game with a Raging Potato.
But is this even, like, he's raging something. I don't know what a Pututoi is.
Well, it's
It probably is
pretty
a potato.
No, it doesn't sound like potato, but I don't know. Maybe
I
just
don't speak
just
this
messing around with
language. Oh,
English.
wait, is going to run to a whole bunch of heroes. He's going to get charged and, well, glimpsed in place. That'll show him. Can he turn around for the cast? He'll try. That's not going to happen. Life break in, and Witch Doctor's going to get annihilated. Nando just a little bit too far out. Doesn't have the mana to help out, nor does he have the health pool. So that's going to be another kill for Action Arena. 6-8 now. They're starting to bring it back, and now that the Huskar has his armlet, he hasn't taken the tier 1 on the bottom lane, but he is ready to go. And so far, we haven't really seen that much action, at least not to counter the Huskar. The Wind Ranger, she scales into it as she gets her Aghanim Scepter, but she has been, for the most part, just chilling on this top lane, looking for the tower. We'll get it.
Yeah, if Action wants to go for this aggression right now, I would definitely
Primo, not again.
agree with this. Oh no.
Oh, slick escape.
Oh.
Maybe the
Nice
Spirit Breaker
play,
jumps
but-
on the high ground? Or is trapped in the shards? All planned, but will it help him?
This
He
might be a
needs
disaster.
the IO
be
Tiny, they need to come in
disaster.
fast. They're fine.
No, they're absolutely fine. They're fine. Too much caster hype, unfortunately. Oh, the task Primo! He's actually isolated, but actually, do they really want to go on to this? Mel's going to keep him alive for a little bit longer, but the refraction charges deserves okay, but blanked forward by Cirque. And that's actually going to be a beautiful connect onto those two heroes. So, 2 heroes already down for Action. We have Ben committing to this Wisp here. And I think Cinco, never mind, he ticks out in the meantime. But we have Nando here chasing after a Raging Potato that unfortunately is going to be his dinner now. Oh, his career could get sniped by Cirque if they don't know he's here.
Oh, he's
no,
going to
I'm
actually
gonna
get the
go for
Huskar instead.
Wow.
No, he won't, because
Nope.
Yeah, Huskar OP. Now he's going to play the spin around the trees game. That's not a good game to play. Here comes a snowball. Too late. Walrus punch. Oh, wrong timing for the Huskar to turn off that armlet. I think he might not have seen the Tusk because he was behind the tree. Maybe. But either way, he was going to drop there. And Huskar is doing some serious work, but everyone else on the team kind of getting answered perfectly. Like a two-man shackle, saving the Tusk for just a couple of seconds. Nando getting the avalanche off on 2, which I think also interrupted the Spirit Breaker's charge. Whether or not that was intentional, I have no idea, but still, he landed a two-man avalanche, and in a fight, if you can do that, you're probably going to be winning it this early on. These fights are still fairly even, although slightly going towards execration. Action Arena need to be winning these fights, though, with the Huskar and Templar Assassin. If they're not winning now, odds are they're not going to be winning in the future.
I think it's just difficult for them to really fight into this because their supports are a little underleveled. Execration has level 6 on all of their heroes, so they've got all of their spells ready for these fights, whereas Disrupt is lacking his key spell, that Static Storm. You really want that silence because it shuts down so many of these Execration heroes, and also just having that thrown down after a glimpse into a kinetic field as well. You could essentially just kill someone and they won't be able to do anything about it. So I'm pretty sure they need to put a little bit more priority onto 1, 2, 3 to get that level 6. Whereas they also need to have the Dazzle Weave as well. Like it seems pretty minor, but you look at Execration, they have so much physical damage coming out that any sort of extra armor is going to benefit them. Blink out by Cirque, very nice reaction timing there from the Wind Ranger.
And not only the blink out, but also ducking and weaving between the trees to prevent line of sight so she doesn't get charged or anything like that, or a glimpse back. They're going to charge in, however, onto the IO. That'll quickly be canceled. They get the avalanche and dessert. No toss just yet. Sentry finally does drop. Here comes another strike. It is going to get tossed up into the air. Walrus punch as well. Everyone's into the snowball. Relocate out from the IO. It's not going to save the Witch Doctor. Nando in a lot of trouble as well. He'll die to the Burning Spears. Power Shot will miss on the Spirit Breaker. Cirque now in a little bit of trouble. Will get glimpsed right back into a Hornet Nest of Heroes. The double kill for dessert. As Execration are going to, well, here comes the Huskar right on top of the IO. Lots of spill damage also from the Templar Assassin shot. And the IO will fall. That's a 4-0. Action Arena cleaning house over in this middle lane.
God, I almost lost it when I saw Ben just doing that massive leap of faith onto the Wisp. But this is the action that Action did. They needed to have a big team fight going their way, and because they've managed to kill so many heroes, they can slowly start transitioning into objectives. So that's one tower taken down, but they're gonna have to start taking down more than just one tower every, say, 10-15 minutes. And think about it as well, Action don't have the best pushing lineup unless they decide to go for a Deso first on the TA, which is not happening. They've just picked up a Yasha, so Deso would be a little a ways away, whereas you compare Execration, they have some decent split push with a Tiny and a Wind Ranger.
Yeah, they can definitely split push their hearts out if it really does come to that desperation state. Did a little bit of looking, and I know for Action Arena the real names of all their players. I don't know their game names, what that corresponds to, so I'm not sure if that's actually going to help, but I do see a J, so apparently I'm not being totally lied to.
It's okay.
I don't know if you would recognize any of these names. I sure as hell will not.
If I can get your source, that'd be awesome.
It's just like it's like a group shared thing. Oh, dessert. Don't move, dessert. Oh, it doesn't matter if you move or not. Dusted up and shackled to a tree. This is going to get beaten down before the charge is going to arrive. Although here comes Ben. Diving after this Wind Ranger. Wind Run's going to prevent most of that damage. We got a Static Storm now. Glimpse back onto 2. Cirque in a little bit of trouble. Trying to TP out of here. Will take so much damage though. Will fall. Cinco's going to leave. Unable to tether back that Wind Ranger. Now shards through 4. That's nice for Primo. But he's got to get the hell out of there. He wants to stick around to let this IO have someone to tether to. But I don't know if that's going to do it. There's another strike and a charge. Here we go. They're on to Cinco. One shot, in fact, stunning 2. Gets a lucky bash. Another strike is going to get dodged by the snowball, but it's still available. And Ben has another life break. He's going to go towards Primo, who's going to walk a little bit too close to Nando. Now has to back on out of there, but Little Jesus is here. Has no mana for a grave. Will get obliterated by the Tiny, so it's not even like that's going to be an issue. Ben still in the corner right now. A Wit is back and throw a cast towards Raging. That will not happen. He'll charge right out, but no, he's actually going to throw the cast instead towards Ben. With a Death Ward there as well, they'll chain stun him up enough so that he can't armlet toggle. That is going to be a couple of extra kills here for Execration. But this game is getting completely wacky. It's this time a 1,300 gold swing in favor of Execration, but that is not necessarily going to be the case every time. Action Arena are doing well enough in these fights to have a fighting shot in the mid game.
Yeah, just a bit of an overextension there, that hoping that they would be able to just burst a wisp, but having a tusk, it's just the tusk can delay kills for so long, just with the snowballs, the shards, the punch, just everything he has in his toolkit just makes him super annoying to deal with. So because of him, keeps the wisp alive, and they get a kill on the almighty Huskar, which I think getting kills on the Huskar now, it's so crucial because you're slowly shutting down this hero, because honestly, if he's not dying, he could be much bigger than this by this point. So just slowly whittling away the Huskar right now. It's probably the best thing Execration could hope for. But they also need to just slowly get farm. So I think at this point, Execration is just going to start to slowly sit back, finish up all the farm onto Nando. He's got his Ags as well at a really nice timing. So he's going to farm incredibly quickly. So these heroes are going to come online pretty soon. So honestly, Execration are in no rush to finish this game, because compared to 2 drafts, Execration are miles ahead in the late game scenario.
It's going to be up to Action Arena to be on the aggressive. They have to be the ones asserting on the map, and for Execration, as long as they're kind of together to maybe provide a little bit of backup, or hell, even turn things around if possible, then they'll be good to go. Like, they can reinforce and fight if needed, although they would much rather not, especially since Primo has a Shadow Blade. With an offlane Tusk, usually you die a hell of a lot. He hasn't. 2-2-7 is a pretty great score for an offlane hero, and yes, Shadow Blade is now up. So though Execration, their overall, general game plan is play this game pretty slowly, with the Tusk being able to get some solo pickoffs, maybe on the Disruptor, maybe on the Dazzle, you just go ahead and risk that. Even if he's just gonna die, that's not a big deal, because if he's buying, 3 TPs to try to reinforce, that's worth it, because that means Tiny and Wind Ranger are farming the process.
Yeah. So thoughts on Desert going for what may be either a Deso or a BKB? What would be the best scenario for the Templar Assassin? Because so far, Desert's done okay, but he hasn't had that much of an impact in the fights compared to Ben. Does he have to go for survivability first, or does he need to go for that extra negative armor?
I think they're both about equally good here. The only real issue is that, not really an issue, the only question is, what does Huskar want to get? You have to make sure that these heroes get very similar items, and that if you want to get a BKB on Templar Assassin, you also have to get items for Huskar that allow him to fight right now, and he's not going to, save for MKB or something like that. Alternatively, going for a Desolator means that Huskar can get a little bit more of a slower item build, and he'll even try to get a Satanic if he really wants to. So as long as they coordinate between the Templar Assassin and Huskar, I don't really think it matters too much. They just have to make sure that their items pull in the same direction.
Yeah, that's true. So for the moment, it seems the game slowed down a little bit for both sides. So for the moment, Execration is just going for this sort of farming play. Do you think they have any chance of trying to go for pickoffs, or are they just content with farming now?
They definitely can, but there's no need. Just, like, the more you play aggressively, the more risk you put yourself in. So just chill. Like, for Execration, they can wait this out all day long. And for Action Arena, they are going to, well, looks like they were going to smoke. They might still smoke. Is there a smoke here? No, okay. Just gonna farm the jungle together. For Action Arena, they should not be sitting back and doing nothing. They really have to try to get these kills and try to pressure these towers. Taking only 2 towers thus far versus having lost 3. This is not really where the team with the Huskar and TA want to be.
Yeah, but it looks like it's going to be a Roshan attempt coming out from Action, and it looks like Execration doesn't know this is happening. They've got no Roche vision. They've only got a sentry board towards the bottom section of the river, so it's going to be easy pickings here for Action. And having this Aegis is going to be an advantage for them, because it looks like they're going to give it to the Templar Assassin. So that means that Desert can be a little bit more aggressive, and because he's just picked up this Desolator as well, he's going to be able to go completely ham, and if Execration wants to commit into killing Desert, they've got to kill him twice. And they also have to deal with the rest of the Action squad.
This is going to be a little bit rough for Execration to defend. They're immediately going to lose their tier 1 tower. Huskar, how close are you to this Halberds? Well, about 1,200 gold close. That's not too close, but still with the Templar Assassin Desolator, she is a significant threat. Tier 1, it seems like, is good enough for Action Arena right now. Maybe they're scared about some sort of smoke response, and Execration, they are still on the split push plan right now. Nando and Singho, they're up towards top. They're shoving that one really hard. Action Arena are going to respect that, so Aegis into just a tier 1 tower. You would expect that would be the time for them to try to make a play into a little bit more of a large-scale team fight, but Now they're going to play a little bit more defensively.
Maybe they don't want to lose this 2-2 tower in the process, because when you go up against a tiny wisp, they can be anywhere on the map, and they don't have to be with the team when this team fight ensures. They can just relocate in, and all of a sudden you're going to be up in a 5v5 scenario, not a 3v5. So I think they're just respecting this combo and saying, okay, don't have these lanes pushed out when we want to try and go for our own push. Can they get the kill though?
Desert has a
Pretty
haste.
scary.
They can actually two-shot the IO right now. As promised. And Nando gonna try to TP out, gets shoved out of it. Nether Strike. Oh, that was so unnecessary. This Templar Assassin just running over these heroes. There's only level 1 Crag Exterior for the Tiny, which usually is pretty good versus TA, since she does have to be so close. But yeah, it's just not gonna happen with 10%. That's how your split push is gonna end, and for Action Arena, this is how their push is going to begin.
Yeah, that was a very good rotation coming out from them. So this should be a pretty easy tower unless buybacks happen. But Tiny doesn't have buyback for 20 seconds. Wisp will come back, but I think Tiny is the bigger factor here for Execration. They need their whole draft. They can't really fight at this disadvantage. They will stall for as long as possible, but I think this tower's definitely gone.
Well, we have Spirit Breakers thinking about charging around. Will, in general, we consider. But tower gone, and is it going to be just that tower, however? Because this is the problem for Execration. They lost their 2 heroes that were split pushing, which means their momentum in those waves has significantly decreased. Now Desert has a freaking Blink Dagger, so that 2-shot on the IO is very easily replicable. And they can go for either the 2 side lanes now with their pretty much firm control of this game. And they have almost that Heaven's Halberd on the Huskar. He's getting there. But for Execration, I don't really know if they can sell it long enough. Wind Range is almost at her Ags, and that's a really great item to have. And Tiny's almost at his AC, but I just don't know if they are prepared to fight up against this Templar Assassin, who's actually just like 2-shotting people.
Not just the Templar Assassin, but also against a Huskar. Once he gets the Halberd, it means that either Huskar or Wind Range is not going to be able to attack for that short duration. And honestly, I think that's huge, because for Execration, I don't think they can survive these long, drawn-out fights, because Action's going to try and burst them down as soon as possible. And it looks like Desert's found Primo here. There is a Shadow Blade, but they still have vision from the charge. And oh god, one bit of splash damage did quite a bit there.
Run,
and
Primo.
Like we'll get him.
Thunk. And dust and dead. I mean, you gotta kind of assume that there's a charge coming in, but I don't really know if... Yeah, he's just gonna go down anyway. I'm not gonna dig too much into that, but now the tower is definitely gonna fall. 4v5 is exactly where Action Arena want to be, and this is definitely going to be another tower. Their Aegis is going to be running out of time shortly, but Aegis for like 3 kills and 2 towers seems pretty good, even though you're not busting up high ground just yet.
Well, I'd say they can go high ground right now. There's no touch for 20 seconds. You may as well just threaten the tower for that short duration that he's down. And if you could just do half HP worth of damage and not lose anyone, I think that's free. That's just that's free tower shots for Action. But they're going to blink forward and jump onto the Witch Doctor. Oh, one hit. The heal was just enough to keep him alive there. And Cirque was going to try and go for a Blink Shackle, but cancels it halfway through the animation.
Look at this hero melee creep dominated by the Huskar Descent in. Here we go. Jump in. Not quite enough because of the Ghost Scepter. Walrus Punch going to slow down Desert, but here comes the charge through onto Tiny, onto Io. The Nether Strike should be enough to kill off the Io, though Avalanche is going to be there. Static Storm now drops onto Nando as Huskar does jump right in. And now Nando's completely stuck, although it is starting to channel that Death Ward. No one's getting on top of him right now. He will have to cancel it after having just killed the Spirit Breaker. Ben, still surviving right now, is going to lose the Radiance Courier. Oh, this is a really expensive Courier, although kind of just piecemeal items. They're going to get onto Primo. Do they have any more detection? Seems like they don't. Avatos onto the Little Jesus, going to kill him off. Now they're onto Desert, who still has the Aegis for a couple more seconds. Is he going to use it? Yes, he will. Ben going to fight to the death. However, he's going to fall. Now Templar Assassin's going to revive it to 5 heroes. Good luck getting out of this one, TA. Desert is going to try to meld it out, try to get a kill on Primo. Needs one more hit. Courier? No. It's going to be a triple kill for Nando and a defense for Execration. They lose their tier 3, but that's about it.
That's a huge loss there for Action. If they got Raxes, then they lost their entire draft, then it would have been alright, because they got their objective. But no, the objective still stands, and honestly, there's not much damage done to them. They did damage to the melee Rax, but this is going to heal up probably completely by the time Action comes back to this. So for Execration, beautiful hold. They didn't really lose anything out of that. And are they going to be able to get a tower out of this? Not likely. Respawn time is pretty short for the moment, but I think for Execration, they're going to be happy with that current win. They're going to slowly progress for their next items. Wind Ranger has to get MKB this game, because that Huskar with the evasion is not really killing Cirque, but I've just seen him try to focus fire the Huskar down. He almost did no damage, considering that he was losing so much due to that evasion.
It's the evasion and the fact that Huskar at this point actually has a decent amount of armor and I think was woven up for a couple seconds already. Windranger either needs to get, something like MKB or just any sort of damage, really. Like, as long as you're just adding green damage to your bar, you're going to be fine as Windranger to tear those heroes down. But instead, going to go for double Sage's Mask. And that, to me, indicates Orchid. I don't think there's, like, any other...
Yeah, it has to be Orchid.
It has to be an Orchid, right?
Double. Yeah, it has to be. Unless it's just buying it for funsies, but obviously that's not going to happen. This is a pretty high-stakes game.
Pretty bad here, actually.
Unless he wants to save it for the Dazzle so that there's no Shallow Grave. I guess you could also use it on the Templar Assassin so that she's not able to really jump around, throw refraction charges, and meld. Like, in theory, if you can get it on those really important heroes that get shut down by an Orchid, then it's fine. But I think the team fights are a little bit too messy for that to happen. And if you Orchid TA, that's fine. There's a Dazzle that can still grave. You grave the Dazzle, that's fine, but you still have to deal with the TA.
And Desert almost has a BKB, so, nice Orchid. But silencing the Dazzle, silencing the Disruptor, though there is a lot of value in that, ideally you would like to answer them by just straight killing them off. Orchid gives you a little bit more offensive power than some other intelligence-based items like Yule's, but yeah, I'm not really sure if this is the item for Windranger. I think MKB or any damage item would have been a little bit better. This is like, and I think that's fine if you want to go for it first, and even then I would say it's a little bit questionable, but a Wit is going to walk over Sonic Trap. He does have some backup here, but the charge is going to commence, and they're going to jump right in towards a Wit. Nice two-man shackle, now here comes Nando, and Io from the back. Dazzle's already down, as is Disruptor. Charge coming in onto Cirque. Rage of Totem is going to get another strike, holding out Cirque. Nando now in a 2v2, although can't get any spells off. He's going to get a little bit of healing, and he will get yanked out by the Io. In the meantime, it's going to be 2v1 on the backline. This is Raging, trying to kill off Cirque. Will not get that kill just yet, but now has some backup. Cirque will get into the trees and will get out of there. Primo has got to leave as well. It's a 2 for 2, and the Tiny actually does go down because he got relocated to the bottom lane.
No, he got relocated. So Burning Spears just burnt him off, really.
Oh, they relocated in, right? They just yanked him back down there. So
yes.
No fountain relocate.
Yes. Yeah, unfortunate for Execration. And it looks like this top tower is definitely going to go down, whereas Primo, very ballsy play, going to be spotted out here by Desert now. Shadowblade has a very healthy duration, so he's not going to get caught out here, fortunately for him. Whereas Action, they should just back out at this point. Don't overextend. They know what happened last time, so they better make sure it doesn't happen again. And the poor Wisp in the bottom lane, melted. Absolutely melted.
This is looking pretty rough for Execration at this stage. We have two Heaven's Halberds up on the Huskar. So Windranger, yeah, your Orchid isn't going to be doing much here. You need to be able to focus fire, because if you can't, you're fairly useless. Tiny has to be able to auto-attack as well, and they just won't be able to once the disarms land. For Action Arena, that is a lot of time for them to just do whatever the hell they want. Like, there is not much that they have to worry about once they actually land those halberds on those correct targets. If these heroes are not going to go for BKB next, and it seems like they're not, then they are just going to be in a lot of trouble. They might actually just be completely screwed in these fights.
Yeah, but the Roshan attempt is going to be coming out here from Action. It's just going to be the TA that's going to be doing a lot of the damage, although it looks like they're a little bit afraid of Execration. There is still a little bit of AoE on the side of Execration, so if they get caught out, it could be a bit of a disaster, but it seems like they're going to take it nice and slow. They're not going to all go into the Roche Pit, because honestly, Desert's doing most of the damage to this Roche because of the Deso.
Yeah, he's just going to hope for a DD rune to spawn in the next 15 seconds. Although it seems like in the next 15 seconds, the Roshan's going to be dead by that time, so never mind. Let's jump right in. Ben can tank the Roshan very easily, and he can even give the healing to Desert if needed, although Desert is kind of low on mana. Oh, regen rune, there we go. Ain't that something? So convenient. Now they can push with the Aegis.
I think the game is in favor of Action.
Yeah.
Giving him any sort of advantage. Man, but that's okay. But Action's played very well this game. I wasn't really expecting this sort of performance from a team that wasn't well known, but I'm impressed.
Yeah, they've been on the aggressive train. Even this Huskar, who we both said, like, not really the best game for it. Has survived for quite long in these fights and has been putting up a lot of damage. Usually he's just going to get shackled and immediately brought down, but not going to be the case. You're not going to get shackled. Now they're going to go once again for the melee racks. Execration, where you at? They're on the top lane pushing, but it's a little bit too late because they've already lost melee racks and they're going to lose range racks. Maybe they get a tier 3 tower here. They have to try to cancel some TPs. 1-2-3 is going to get back. Desert and Ben looking to get stunned up by the cask. They break through the tier 3. We got a charge coming back in. Plus the disruptor is here with the static storm. He's going to lay some thunder strike down first, and they will get melee racks. Here comes the static storm onto Nando. Charge coming onto Cinco, so there's going to be no relocate out, at least not easily. They'll take down range racks as well with just one more hit. There it is. Another strike is not going to be canceled just yet. Desert blinks in, but they immediately get out after getting the disruptor kill with the Avatos combo. Slick plays here for Execration, making a racks trade. In the meantime, we have a fight on towards bottom. Ben trying to go versus 3 will not happen. Little Jesus couldn't get in range, or he already used the grave actually, so never mind. And it seems like they should be able to kill off the IO afterwards, and they will. But for Execration to make even racks trades right now up against the Templar 7 with Aegis is actually a pretty big deal.
It is. Honestly, I wasn't expecting Execration to get that racks down in the bottom lane, but they get a kill and a racks, and they also get a retreating Huskar in the process too, so it's an even situation, honestly. Just almost even. Execration getting a tiny bit more, but yeah, I thought Action would have been able to defend that top racks much sooner.
Well, it just wasn't going to be, it seems. Templar Assassin just couldn't get there quite in time. Maybe just bailing out on the range. Maybe just bailing out on the range racks, just getting the melee, then trying to defend up against the Tiny, because this is still an IO Tiny, which is always going to be good at backdooring or, like, you know, racing for buildings. Especially with an Assault Cuirass and now a Manta style, it's going to be a lot easier to push now that they have those items. Action Arena maybe just underestimating the push power of these two heroes. I feel like that definitely can be a thing that just happened. They just thought, oh, it's IO Tiny, not a big deal. We'll charge back, we'll TP back at our leisure. And you got to get a little bit more urgency when dealing with these two at this stage.
Yeah, they did show a lot more respect during the early game, as we saw how Action was taking those T1 towers a little bit slower because they saw there was a tiny wisp at their T2. They ended up killing them, which was a great move, and then they also translated it into, I think, another tower after that as well. So if they go take a step back, just remember that it's still a tiny wisp that they're dealing with, even though that the tiny isn't as huge as he could be. They still have to respect the combo because those two can get things done.
For some reason, Little Jesus saw Nando walk into him jungling and is gonna die to neutral. Okay. And now Raging Potato is stuck. Okay.
Well, it's okay. We all tilt every now and again.
Unless
I
you
wouldn't
just...
call it.
yeah.
Okay.
The shame DC. Guys, I was lagging. That wasn't my fault. It's not really a big deal dying to neutrals. Loses him a little bit of gold. He had the... Oh no, that was someone else's. I thought he had a Glimmer Cape on the courier, but that was actually split Glimmer Cape. I think that was the Disruptors actually. So yeah, not gonna really matter too much that he died, but maybe got screwed over by Nighttime Vision. Didn't seem like that was the case. Either way, when Dazzle comes back, Action Arena still have a little bit of extra time with this Aegis. Actually, quite a bit of time with this Aegis. They are going to want to go for secondary sets of Raxes here, but Nando is still a pretty significant threat. Once the IO comes up, and he will be up very shortly with Relocate, the split push from Execration ideally would like to get them another set of Raxes to trade.
I'd actually like a smoke from Action. Grab a smoke and try to focus down the tiny wisp, because once those two heroes are down, then you can try and go for your own push. And it means that it's either going to force out a buyback from Nando, which it seems like he does have it. So it's going to slow down his item progression, but it's going to hurt Execration in the long run, because honestly, Wind Ranger is not going to be able to do this split push as well as the tiny wisp. I guess Wind Ranger and a wisp, but you really want Nando with him. It'll open up the map for Action as well, and Execration will feel a little bit more threatened if the tiny isn't on the map with them. So I would like a smoke just to have Action assert map dominance, to say that we are everywhere, we can kill you whenever we feel like it. We have the advantage this game, like items, levels, everything for now. I say for now because I think if one team fight goes horribly wrong for Action, all of a sudden the game tips on its head, and then you have Execration dominating because their heroes make much better use of items that are given to them.
We have a pretty big item pickup for Execration. Not really sure when this was picked up, but it is up now. It's the Silver Edge on the Tusk. And if you somehow can break the Huskar, yeah, he will still be able to, in theory, armlet toggle. He has the lifesteal and the tankiness to kind of survive through that immediately, but getting rid of that Berserker's Blood means that you do have some relevant magic damage output, like with an Avalanche Toss combo at the bare minimum, to get that kill very easily. They're going to smoke up for the Execration side, lay wards, see Little Jesus, smoke up. I think they did see it. No one should die from this. That was a very aggressively placed Observer Ward for Execration, but it is going to be benefiting them. They'll save, I mean, at least any lives here.
It should, unless Nando comes out, but
don't go out
we'll
there.
see. Don't go. It's too dangerous. No, don't
Just
do
hide.
it. Oh no!
Don't move.
No.
Stop. You
Oh
saw
my
them
God.
smoke. And now they're just dead, right? They're going to try to relocate out. Singho is going to not get it off in time. Now Nando is going to get trapped in the corner. Those cleaving through everyone with the damage he's putting out. He'll get 2 kills and supports just the splash damage in a 2-for-1 trade. That actually wasn't too bad. Like, it could have been a lot worse.
Absolutely. Like, just having the cleave, like, I was very surprised that the Disruptor was so far forward. Like, you would never want to be anywhere near a Tiny who hits that hard. So maybe he was that close just to give his team vision, and then he couldn't back out. Maybe he wanted to help him with the right-click department. Who knows? But I don't think it should have happened. The Disruptor should have known that they were going to be in there anyway and should just stay a little bit further back to provide a glimpse if necessary and everything.
Oh, well, that's going to cost Action Arena 2 support heroes. So, you know, slightly rougher times for them. And you know what? I just realized that there's no delay on the stream, and I have to put delay on because we're not at a LAN anymore. No one noticed that, guys. Everyone be quiet about it. It's fine. We're going to fix it afterwards because we can't fix it now. But, yeah, Tiny's going to fall. He'll be up soon enough. And for Action Arena, they are going to probably time out with this Aegis. So, you know, not using an Aegis to go for high ground. At this point, that's what Action Arena want to be doing. But still, they're in a pretty decent position for this game, although relocate in. Here comes the backdoor with the Mantis-style tower. Is backdoor protected? It seems like that is going to be enough to know. They charge onto the Tiny Illusion. Got him. They're looking for another strike now. They get the glimpse back onto Nando. And the IO actually leaves them out. And now Nando's completely screwed right now. Can he get any more cleave kills right now? He'll get the Avalanche toss on dessert. But now he's going to get disarmed once. He can get disarmed again. He'll fall. That is backdoor punishment at its finest.
Yeah, and this means that Action's going to try and go down mid lane. There is buyback on the Tiny, but honestly, you never want to use buyback under any circumstances, unless you can get a positive trade in the end. So, buyback's available. How's this team fight going to work out for Execration? For Action, at this point, I feel like they just want to go for objectives. They can try to kill heroes in the process as well, but it's mainly going to be objectives. Oh god, Primo with the shenanigans again. Coming in with a backstab. Might get the courier. Does see it.
Falcon Punch. Dead. Got him. They see the Tusk now, but Raging Potato unfortunately can't quite get there fast enough. Tiny will have to buy back into this if he actually wants to hold his racks, I think. 20 seconds should be enough for this set of buildings to go down. Execration got to try to stall it. Fortification is the best way to stall, obviously, but here we go. Blink in onto Cirque right now. 3 shots, and Sandbox Assassin will cleave onto the 4th, I think, with the side blades. Get the kill. Wind Ranger down, does not have a buyback, so now, you know, not having buyback on the Tiny is going to be perfectly fine for Execration, but still, they need their full cast to defend, at least defend in a really strong way, because now melee Raxes are going to fall. Here comes Tiny, very slowly lumbering himself in there. Avalanche toss onto the Huskar will do a little bit of damage, but he pops CVKB. Now he's just going to life break over towards Nando right now. He'll Mantis split out of it, but immediately get disarmed. Primo in the meantime is going to try to go for the Disruptor. Static Storm drops in the middle of the fight. We got a Death Ward in the back line. It's not going to do a ton, as they have lost their Disruptor, but gained melee racks already. Death Ward still being channeled, but into the backline Dessert goes, kills off the IO in 2 shots. Is going to get summed up by Wit, so he can't kill the Witch Doctor just yet, but he should be able to get that kill as Tiny does buy back. And now Execration, they are going to try to get as many kills as they can on the retreating heroes. They should be able to kill off this Spirit Breaker, although he'll charge, shuffle around the Ice Shards, try to TP out. That's not going to happen. He's definitely going to fall here. It's still Action Arena to get what they came for. They walk in, get the Wind Ranger kill, get Raxes, and this time there's no trade.
That was beautiful play from Dessert. Just going in, going after the right targets in the fights. And because he has the MKB, the Wind Ranger can't rely on the Wind Run anymore. She's just going to get bursted down by Dessert, which, as we saw beforehand, meant that Execration had to fight in a 4v5 scenario. and they still lose their Raxes. They get a couple of hero kills in return, but the way Action's playing right now, they know the game plan, they know some of these heroes are very important, and they know which ones to burst down. And you have to look at Desert now. He's the one doing a lot of the damage for Action, whereas the Husker, I feel like Ben's started to fall back to this more utility-based, I'm going to tank everything as well as disarm you sort of hero. Like, he's turned into, you could say, a very expensive Spirit Breaker. He's just there to disrupt Execration, and it's great if you kill Ben. Like, that's wonderful. You kill a Husker. But he's not the one doing all of the damage. It's the Templar Assassin. So they're really splitting Execration's attention that I don't think they have enough to deal with everybody. They have to focus down one hero. But I don't know if they have enough to deal with the rest of Action. So the way that the Radiant's playing, it's wonderful. And it's going to be very difficult for Execration to come back unless they have either a clutch play or if Action makes a massive mistake.
I think Execration really need this Wind Ranger to actually do stuff in the fights. Like, obviously the last fight she got picked off immediately, couldn't get anything off, but she's been holding on to 13k of net worth for a good portion of this game now. Has completed the Orchid, hasn't used the Orchid, I want to say, or at least not in a significant way. It's just a lot of gold to be expending on, and that's not going to do much. Primo's going to walk right into 3 heroes right now. He's going to snowball onto Little Jesus. Here comes the relocate into a static storm, however, onto 3. None of these heroes have BKB. Ben's going to jump right into Primo and charge coming through onto the back. It's going to be Cinco to get stunned up as well as Tiny. Ben's going to pop his BKB, and now they're going to charge forward looking for Nando. Short glimpse back. They use up the IO, who's not going to be able to tether up Nando back to the base, and Nando will fall with no buyback. Death Ward from across the trees, but Wit is very quickly going to realize that can't happen. They're going to jump towards Cirque with the Ghost Scepter. He's going to try for a little while longer. Cass going to stall everyone up. In fact, get Cirque out of there, it seems. But Wit is not going to be as lucky. He's going to get chased down by another life break, Kablamo, and the spears will fly. Why isn't Ben attacking? Okay, sure. Yeah, but now with 3 heroes down, and only one of those heroes having buyback, Action Arena have a chance to get megas, or hell, even the game at this point.
I think the game's done. The Tiny's dead for 60 seconds, and the only heroes left is going to be a Tusk, a Wind Ranger, and a Wisp. And as you said, Cirque really hasn't done anything this game. He doesn't do that much damage. He provides a silence and a shackle shot. That's great. He's also got survivability, but he's not really killing anyone. He's going to try and fight up against Desert here. Going to orchid him up, but there's a charge in from our Raging Potato. It looks like they're going to try and focus down Cinco instead because they know he is the more important hero in this scenario. Although Ben's going to hit the tag a couple of times because there was the Ghost Scepter. Cinco's fine. And punch onto Desert. They do get the kill on the TA. She's dead. Bias back though. So here we go. This might be the fight for Execration. They're last at Araxes. They cannot afford to lose this. And here we go, jump in from Desert. A Raging Desert with the BKB charging from our Raging Potato. Don't know if you want to go in that deep for a Wisp kill though. Going for another strike onto the Wind Ranger. And he should die in this scenario. It can be used up into the air. But look at Ben and Desert. They are starting to go ham on these Raxes.
Now they're going to go ham on these heroes. Got a Walrus Punch onto Desert. He's broken up as well. Static Storm drops, forcing the disengage. Teleport coming in. It's Tiny who's finally going to respond, but they've already lost melee Raxes. He'll get glimpsed right back to his fountain. Not a huge distance, but still enough for Desert to go ahead and kill off Primo in the meantime. Charge forward onto a Wit from Ben. Ben's going to get that kill. Avalanche, toss, one right click, not quite going to do it. The second one will. They hold their range Raxes as now actually going to split up. 1, 2, 3, hiding in a corner. Will actually get out of there, it seems, although he doesn't have a TP, so it will take him quite a long time. In the base, in the meantime, of the Radiant, they've already lost 1 tier 4, but Dire have lost 2, and they're at half health on their Ancient at this stage. It's not over for Execration just yet. I don't know if they make the call to just relocate in and try to backdoor or something like that, but that can still win them this game.
They would have to bring in the Wind Ranger as well. I don't think the Tiny will be sufficient enough in a backdoor race because Action has the superior damage output. Unless they can kill off the TA, then it might be a better scenario for Execration to go for that backdoor play because the Husker doesn't really do that much damage versus structures. Spirit Breaker's not really doing that much either. So I think if you could, try and go for the backdoor race, hope that no one either TP's back, or you can kill Desert and then try to go for that smoke all in down the mid lane Ancient rush for Execration. I think that's the best scenario. They can't let Desert survive. He's doing too much damage. He's bursting heroes left, right, and center.
Aegis Cheese is going to help Execration no matter what game plan they end up in. It's going to go on the Tiny and on the Wind Ranger. So now, backdooring is going to be a little bit more sustainable, though. 2 Raxes down, 1 range Rax away from almost sure defeat. Like, Execration have okay heroes at actually dealing with these Megas should they start flooding the base, but I don't think they can handle Megas and the entirety of Action Arena. That's just a little bit too much. They're going to start pushing down mid lane right now, try to force Action Arena on the defensive. And I guess fortunately enough for X-Creation, Action Arena don't have any heroes that could really sneakily get in there and snipe the range racks. Maybe if TA gets there, she will be able to, but it's got to go through the entire map to get to that stage. So pretty sure it's going to be a little bit too suicidal for Desert, who just bought back.
Yeah. So what do both teams do now? Does Action sit back and play defensively till these buybacks come back online? Do they wait for the Aegis to run out? Do they try and go for a smoke gank and try to catch a hero out on the side of Execration? What options are available to them right now?
I'm pretty sure they're playing it correctly. The closer they stay to their base, the better. They know that the IO Tiny can backdoor for Raxes or even the tier 4 at this point, and you want to be able to defend. If you do go ahead and smoke up and find the Tusk, like usually that's great. You find the Tusk, it's going to be a kill, but then IO Tiny suddenly relocating to your base, and the Tusk is just stalling you out at that point. So for Action Arena, they at least have to wait out this Aegis. Anything other than that, is really up to them, but don't leave your base when the enemy team has their Aegis, because they're not getting a lot of farm. They're up against 2 lanes, 2.5 lanes of super creeps. Your creeps aren't really worth a lot.
Okay. So, since the game's going to slow down a little bit, are there any items that could essentially change the flow of the game? I'm seeing a Aghanim Scepter coming up on the Witch Doctor very soon. Actually, I have it in about 1 gold. Cha-ching! Is this the Death Ward game for Execration?
It's certainly possible. The CC status of Action Arena so far hasn't really been great up against Witch Doctor. He's been getting, I think, most of his Death Wards, if not completely channeled, the majority of it. That does have a lot of upside. This can just absolutely wreck Action Arena. The item I'm more interested in, though, is the Spirit Breaker, who has another Talisman of Evasion. Like,
what?
I guess
Butterfly?
Solar Crests? A roundabout Solar Crest?
Yeah, Solar Crest. I was thinking, like, what else is there for Talisman of Evasion?
I'm pretty sure
Solar...
Medallion is just better, though, than the second Talisman. I mean, it's better for your allies, I guess. Not as great for
Maybe
yourself.
he just wants to survive in the middle of the fights. Just be a nuisance, and if Execration wants to try and kill him, they have to deal with the extra evasion. That could be a possibility.
Here comes the siege. Life break is going to be used, but he's going to get tossed right back in. Force pop the BKB. And still taking a lot of damage. Going to turn around. Walrus Punch is there. Not broken up, though. He will put the heal on himself and will be just fine. BKB also used on Nando. Fortification is there. Desert going to jump right in, looking for Cirque. Not quite enough to two-shot that Wind Ranger. Gets tossed over to a Wit. As Ranger Potato is also in the middle of the fight. Avalanche will miss. Shackle shot onto 2, however, these 2, Little Jesus, will get plowed down immediately, and the Disruptor will as well. That's 2 kills immediately on 2 support heroes that have no buyback. They're going to life break again onto a Wit, but Nando's just going to go for the Raxes. He's not going to concern himself with any of these heroes. Ben doing what he can, but at this point he doesn't do a ton of damage. Raxes will fall, and Execration, they're pushing forward, having lost nobody so far. They're almost going to bring down Ben, but Nando, he's just going to go for the jugular. He's just going to go for the tier 4. Dazzle's finally going to buy back. They get charge back onto Nando, but Single's going to prep the relocate. He will get the Tiny out of there. A Wit and company kind of left behind. Can they kill off these heroes before the IO Tiny return? They're looking for him. Cirque's going to get 1-2 shot by Desert. Unlucky crit there. But here comes the ultimate defense. Singho and Nando going to try to go for the Ancient, but they get charged immediately. No BKB for Nando. He's going to pop Manda style and try to fight his way out of this, but he's just not doing enough damage at this point. Singho is not taking focus. It's going to be all on Nando. He'll lose the Aegis. Singho is going to pop the Ghost Scepter. Will survive for a little while, but as soon as this Ghost Scepter Glimmer Cape runs out, he will die. And the last bolt to follow him, that'll be the death. And now they're on to Nando, who's going to try to go for the Ancient, but the Sash Storm finally drops the Disruptor's back. They'll kill off Nando, they'll glimpse back Primo, and they'll get everyone else down. IO Tiny still have buyback. They don't have to relocate for another 15. The Ancient is exposed. We have TP up from Desert. He wants to go for the good game himself, but he is all alone without buyback for another 20 seconds. Double buyback, triple buyback. Here comes Ben. Going to dive right onto it right now. Ghost Scepter going to save him from the Melt Strike. Nando's going to throw the Avalanche. Will miss as Ben's going to stand his ground and just fight it up against everyone. He does have a buyback at this stage. He'll kill off the Witch Doctor and put a lot of damage into Cirque. Not quite lethal damage, but it will be enough to, I think, slow down Execration from going for any last-ditch attempts. This game is still up in the air for both sides at this stage.
It's stupidly close. It is stupidly close. It could honestly go both ways. I think for the moment, Action is going to be absolutely petrified if Tiny Wisp just relocates next to the Ancient. If he just relocates in, BKBs, and hits the Ancient, I think that's it. I don't think there's going to be enough damage on the side of Action to kill the Tiny in time.
You gotta hope for Potato to get some bashes and stuff like that. The BKB at this stage is still, wow, 9 seconds. That's a very fresh BKB. It kind of feels like he's been using it a little bit more. The luckier IO Tiny get, the more procs of Craggy Exterior they get, the more time they get. Now for Action Arena, leaving your base is so scary. Like, if they are spotted out like in top lane as a group of 3, like, they just might lose the game.
Yeah, I agree. It's not an option for Action to leave their base. Because if they leave their base and Execration knows this, goodbye Ancient and goodbye game. Oh my god, this game is just ridiculous. I am surprised it's gone for this long, and we're in such a delicate situation for both teams. Because if Execration loses the Tiny, there's no buyback on him. If Action loses the TA, there's not enough damage to kill the Tiny, and that's it, the Ancient's gone. So it really depends on who wants to make the first move and who manages to come out on top in the end of the fight, or who makes the better decision. Execration smoking up. Looks like it might be a Roche attempt. Roche won't be up for a while, unless they want to try and go for that 5-man mid down Ancient. It is a possibility.
With no buyback, that's, I think, the best way for Execration to lose this game. Because right now it is still pretty much dead even. If they go all in when they don't have to, that'll just, be a little bit too risky. Unless they grab a double damage rune on Tiny, then I think you go for that. But there is no GD, at least not yet. Aside from Aegis, I mean, buybacks are definitely the most important thing. If the Disruptor can somehow grab an Aghanim Scepter, which doesn't seem likely, that'll be great. No, they're actually going to go all in. They find a gem on the floor. Desert is going to run to Primo, who's going to run out of Invis. Shackle Shot going to fail. Ben Bang going to dive right on top of this Tusk. A Cirque is almost getting one shot by Desert. Will Force Staff over the trees. Will be just fine. A Wit can look for a place to Death Ward. This isn't the greatest place to do it, however. In the backline, Avalanche tossing the Spirit Breaker. He'll save himself a little bit of time with that Yule Scepter, but he's going to still go down. Probably he will. He does have buyback if he needs it at this stage. Tusk's going to buy back. Wit finally going to channel his ultimate. Will almost kill off Little Jesus. Will kill off the Disruptor, however. That's going to be another 1-for-1 trade. IO Tiny looking to duck out and TP over towards mid. That is just going to be that. 2 kills apiece, 2 buybacks apiece, and still dead even.
I'm scared to jinx this game, Mike. I don't want to open my mouth. I don't want to say anything because I might just jinx either one of these teams. Oh god. Could we see a Divine Rapier this game? I would like to see a Divine this game.
I don't think any team is really at that stage yet. Like, they're still fighting very evenly. So you don't want to go, again, super all in when you can get items like Moonshard on Tiny, which just, I don't want to say help him more than Divine Rapier, but helps him to a comparable amount and is a lot safer. Again, double damage rune, illusion rune at this point, great for Execration. Obviously, they're going to wait out for Aegis. I did not expect this game to get to this stage.
No, I thought this game would have finished possibly 10-15 minutes ago. I thought Action would have been a little bit more aggressive and really gone for these pushes, but Execration has been holding pretty well, and I think it's also because Action's been playing very carefully themselves as well. They try to not go for these overextensions. It happens every now and again, but they're respecting Execration, and I think it's a good and a bad thing for them because it's delayed the game for so long that they're now in this position.
Well, everyone in Action Arena, they're grouped up. They're waiting for the Roche fight. We're going to run into a Tiny Illusion, kill it off, easy peasy. But Execration, they are also smoked up. This is going to be the perfect time for Action Arena to fight because they have 15 armor from Weave. Got a Snowball bringing the Tusk into Desert right now. He'll Shadow Blade out of there, slow down a little bit. They can't glimpse back anyone just yet. It's going to be the Spirit Breaker in a little bit of trouble right now. Can't get any items off. He'll just get obliterated by the Tiny. Has no buyback either. Oh, Spirit Breaker, that's not where he wanted to be. Now, Execration, well, they did use the BKB on the Tiny. Is that worth it? Can Action Arena actually fight this one? Are they kind of forced to? I think they might still have to. They're going to catch a Tusk, actually, who for some reason is still here. He'll Walrus Punch a Centaur. I don't think a Centaur deserved it, and he'll drop. He also has no buyback. Short relocate forward. Avalanche going to connect only onto one. However, now here comes the Death Ward. No one's on top of it to actually cancel it. Desert's going to try with his BKB prep. He'll kill off the Witch Doctor, which is a matter of hits. And he'll start for a little while longer, given the Grave, but the Tiny will slip out of there, albeit barely. Tuskar's still pretty healthy in the middle of this fight. Will go straight for the IO. Should burn down to the Spear. And it looks like, well, he'll get chased down either way. Thunderstrike will just kill him off immediately, or a blink right click. Tiny and Wind Ranger are both still alive, so this game is still not over yet. However, the Templar Assassin has no buyback. Can Execration actually do anything with this? I don't think they can.
I don't know. They can actually do something once they have all the heroes respawn, because TA is dead, and Execration will be. They'll have everyone by the time TA is still respawning. So it could be a tiny window of opportunity, but then again, it's a little bit too risky. I think when everyone's back up, or once at least the Witch Doctor and the Tusk is up, they just go straight for Roche.
Ooh, they have
And
double
I don't know
damage
if I don't know if Action wants to contest it either. Again, if they leave base, things could happen. Very, very serious things could happen.
Alright, so I think the play here for Nando is slap Roshan around a little bit, eat the Moon Shards, grab Aegis, or grab Cheese. Maybe Cheese is better. Wind Ranger obviously wants the other one. Well, we have Huskar actually going to grab Travels. This is still like 1 racks away from Megas. I want to remind everyone, Action Arena almost have it. It's kind of a shame that Huskar has built Satanic, because if he had Helm of the Dominator, like just doing that thing, which is 1 hero, using the Travels and Dominated Creep, like that could have won them the game maybe at this point, but now it is still so friggin' even. I don't know, I could toss a coin right now and I could tell you guys who's going to win, but I don't really know if you'd like me for that.
No, don't do it. Don't do it. There's a lot of people with their Bugattis on the line right now, and I'm pretty sure you'll develop quite a bit of a hate train here. Don't do it, Mike.
The coin determines these teams' fates.
Not even a coin, it's just one misplay from either side. Buyback status for both teams though. TA will be able to start saving up for buyback now, so at least Desert's going to possibly have that before the next team fight. Although I think this fight might happen before he's going to be able to get enough for buyback. He's going to have to get a kill and a couple, maybe, or at least 2 assists before he's going to have enough for a buyback. This could be scary.
I think that's probably going to happen. Like, he's been able to pretty reliably kill off these supports at the very least. If they're not, in the ethereal form, then she's just like 3-shotting them. So this is looking pretty good for the Templar Assassin's farm rate, although the final push is coming from Execration, and there's no split push, at least not enough for Action Arena. If they hold this one, that might be their victory, but they have to win it convincingly, and so far they haven't been. Power shots start things out. Nando has Manta Style. He'll just deploy that if needed. Toss will also damage the structures. At this point, not super essential, but they landed 2-man shackle shot onto Ben and Desert. No follow-up at all. Okay. Fine. Glimpse back onto Nando. BKB is gonna block it. I would think that two-man shackle shot onto the 2 cores is good enough to start a fight, but shit, what do I know?
I thought he would have gone in as well, even though there was possibly the chance of a static storm combo being thrown out. There's BKB on to Nando. He's fine.
Try to go for it now. Tower down. Ben pops his BKB. In the meantime, Cirque, he's just going to go straight for the Ancient along with the Io, who for some reason is over here. Cirque is just going to run away. I don't know where that Wind Ranger is going. Just kind of going to try to distract from the Tiny, but they actually yank him back a little bit. That's going to slow down this push, and I think that might actually cost them these racks. The Static Storm ends up dropping. Nando's still trying to go for the structure. However, he loses Io body. Snowball onto 3. Going to slow them all down, but the Tiny will fall, lose the Aegis.